KIT has been ranked #1 among the self-financing institutions of the country in the Atal Ranking of Institution on Innovation Achievements 2020 by the Ministry of HRD, Government of India.
The pre-budget economic survey, which is just tabled in the Parliament ahead of the Union budget to present the state of the economy and has suggested few policy prescriptions, quite often which has missed out in the budget forecast. And this time, the survey projects a very level of economic growth, which has been around 9%. The survey is expected to strongly hit at inflation risk to the economy and the need for consumption-based growth issues, which had become a major headache for the policymakers even before the COVID-19 pandemic began.
I have already said some time back that the pre-budget talk by students is one of my most favorite events of School of Management. Not only School of Management, in my entire career when I was a student also, I was one of the active participants in this pre-budget things. And in my entire career, I get very excited during the budget season. And there is a reason also. What is a budget after all? If you look at a budget, I will talk about a little bit of basic. What is a budget after all?
When the last budget was presented by Nirmala Sitharaman, she had very interestingly quoted Rabindranath Tagore. She had read out a quote from Tagore, which said, "Faith is the bird which fills the light when the dawn is still dark. Faith is the bird which fills the light when the dawn is still dark." She knew very well that in a pandemic situation, though she was infusing close to 10% of the GDP, she knew that she was basically traversing through the dawn. And it is because of the extremely, courageous budget that she presented, which combined pragmatism with empathy. Today, when the economic survey was presented just about an hour back, her entire faith, the faith of the government today, the faith of the people at large, has been largely vindicated.
The Finance Ministry to fulfill the normal people's expectations in the best economical way possible. Now, let's get into the detailed discussions. Today, we have 4 extraordinary panels to give us a detailed insight into this. Starting with finance, as India continues to languish from coronavirus outbreak, the interruptions from the pandemic impacted hard on India's fiscal indicators last year, with the central government's budget deficit soaring to an all-time high of 9.2% of GDP in FY21.
Discussion on how we are expecting the Finance Ministry to take steps over financial sectors when it comes to 2022, and as general public, what are our expectations?
Thank you, Tanya. So as we all know that last year, when COVID-19 took the whole world by storm, no one was sure about the economic climate that was about to be embarked. But one thing is very sure when we compare to the last year union budget is that a lot was dependent on the highly anticipated vaccination drive. This year, when the vaccination drive is in full force, the uncertainty still remains with the morphing virus. This has led to a very unstable market where MSMEs are affected the most. Under such a scenario, I assume that the government will be.
And there are other 2 aspects related to, the budget formulation changed the delicate balance that the finance minister will face, and one is supporting different stakeholders of the economy to ensure that demand. And
in the unserved and the underserved population, which largely belongs to tier 2, 3, or even rural areas, more inclusive partnership between banks and fintechs, while also incentivizing the process, will surely help achieve India's digitalization goal and the financial inclusion goal. Now, from the last year's budget, I think the allocated 1,500 crore did help the sector to reach where it is today. But having said that, this development, in my belief, is just the tip of the infrastructure transformation iceberg. So schemes like waiver and merchant discount rate has helped the fintech companies to push for more digital payments, right? But sorry, it has also put pressure on the supply side because without any service charges, there is no very less innovation, right? Now,
suggests that India needs to spend 6% of its GDP on education. But in the year 2019-2020, 52 years since that recommendation, India spent only 3.1% of its GDP on the education. So one of the results of this underspending on public education is that over 1 million government schools, where over 248 million children, they have remained poorly funded. This is among the reasons why learning outcomes in India have been so poor. Whereas the National Health Policy of India, which came out in 2017, envisaged that India spend at least 2.5% of its GDP on health by the year 2025.
169 crores. So there is a reduction on the expenditure made for the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare by 9.6%. Budget 2021 was all about reviving the economy that got severely hit by the unprecedented pandemic. To bring back the country back on track, the focus had been let.
As we all must know already, and also the failure of policymakers to recognize that poor health that is holding them back the country's progress. Limited funding for the health sector, coupled with low efficiencies in public spending by the government for decades, have adversely impacted not only the quality, but also the reach and provisioning of adequate healthcare services. This has consequently resulted in widespread inequities in distribution of health.
Even though at one hand, the agriculture sector is displaying tremendous growth and potential of being the prime sector, leading to the growth of the Indian economy, on the other hand, we had seen our farmers protesting at the Delhi borders for a very long time the previous year. But now, as the farm bill has been removed, the question arises that what were the reasons that the farm bills were removed? Dipayan, I would like you to answer this question.
Thank you, Shubhra. I will definitely like to answer that. But at first, a very good afternoon to all. As we have seen, farm law is a burning issue since Narendra Modi passed the farm bill into the parliament. And since then, thousands of farmers, mostly from Punjab, Haryana, and Uttar Pradesh, have been camping at several development.
Will have swayed politically. The farmers are worried this exposes them to corporations who have more resources.
For each year. Like if we take an example, like credit worth of rupees 11.6 lakh crore was given to farmers in the financial year of 2017 to 2018, which was much higher than the rupees 10 lakh crore which was set for that year. Also, we are seeing that India's budget may see the announcement in the steps of strengthening the agriculture lending by these scheduled banks and primary agriculture credit societies,
where we will analyze what were the 2021 budget plan for infrastructure sector and what its impact has been thus far. The world has changed after the outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic, transforming our livelihoods, our economies, and most importantly, the health industry. Health infrastructure is a crucial part of the health sector. Due to the pandemic, it has become our utmost priority to focus on. So Shreya, can you tell us how health infrastructure had been highlighted in the previous budget?
Thank you, Tanu. Well, as you mentioned, COVID-19 made healthcare the central focal point. We saw Finance Minister announcing the highest ever budgetary allocation of rupees 2,24,000 crores for fiscal year 2022. This was 137% higher than the budgetary allocations in 2020's budget session. Last budget, the government announced the launch of Pradhan Mantri Atmanirbhar Swasth Bharat Yojana, an outlay of rupees 64,180 crores over 6 years to strengthen the existing national health mission by developing capacities of primary, secondary, and tertiary healthcare systems and institutions to detect and cure new and emerging diseases.
Indeed.
The budget allocated rupees 1,18,101 crore, the highest ever outlay for the Ministry of Road Transport and Highways.
Rupees 2.15 trillion, along with internal resources rupees 7,500 crore, extra budgetary resources rupees 1 trillion, and gross budgetary support rupees 1.007 trillion. Tanu.
Wonderful discussion with 100% concentration. There was so much to learn. There were what I really liked about the discussion is that the emphasis on numbers. And numbers tell us a lot more than just ideas. Okay.
While I was listening, for some time, I kept forgetting that I'm going to judge the event because it was so beautifully presented by all the 4 teams that I think, I don't think it will be better presented in the actual panel, the way you people spoke, as if all professionals. I really feel proud to have.
Amazing. I was feeling like it is, as ma'am said, it is like all professionals sitting there, and the way the discussion happened, the matured way you have shown, I liked it very much.
To distinguish between the 4 panels. All of you have done excellent. So let all of us give a big hand to, we can call it a virtual hand or whatever, to all the 4 panels. And this year I am making a deviation from the norm.
I would extend a hearty vote of thanks to our director, sir, dean, sir, all our lovely faculty members who spared the valuable time out of their busy schedule to join us for this discussion. I would like to extend a warm thanks to Professor Shikta Singh for organizing and coordinating the discussion in such a wonderful manner. And lastly, I would like to thank all the participants who have been such an active listener, and my team. I would like to thank them, each and every member, for their hard work, which made this session a success. We will be ending